Good morning, Faulkner. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? All right. Nobody? Great. A couple of announcements I want to go over with you all real quick. It was mentioned in an email and also on our SGA live video today, but Shenanigans is going to be going on this year. It will be on Friday, November 14th on the quad right out here. If you are new to Faulkner and you don't know what shenanigans means, say it 3 times fast and then it'll appear. It is a variety show that we put on, and we want to display your talents. Anybody is welcome to audition, to try out, to if you think you're funny, if you sing well, if you have a special trick you want to do. There will be auditions for that on November 5th, Thursday, November 5th. And anybody can audition, so please check the Faulkner app. There was an email sent out, and there's a link on either of those places where you can sign up to audition, and then you will be told if you will make the show or not. Also, tonight at 7 o'clock, behind the cafeteria, New Men's Hall is sponsoring a drive-in movie. You can bring a car or a chair, and you can watch a movie tonight at 7. It will be Coco. Disney's Coco will be featured tonight. So please keep that in mind if you are looking for an activity to be a part of. Okay, and today we have a visitor with us, so let's give a warm Faulkner welcome to J.T. Carson from Helena, Alabama. Welcome. Okay, and at this time, let's welcome Dr. T and Dean Kane up to the stage. They have a COVID update for us. Let's all welcome them this morning. Welcome.
I feel so welcome. Thank you, Hinton. Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for your attention. We'll be brief here. Just want to share some information with you and encourage you here a bit. I wonder how many of you are counting down, how many days we've got left in your semester. Some hands went up. 29 days. That's it. 29 days. Some of you are praising God. Some of you are fearful for, can I get done what I need to get done in 29 days? But nonetheless, it's going to happen. Our goal, people, is we want to finish strong. We want you to finish strong. We want you to finish healthy and ready to come back in January. So let me share some things with you. We've been doing this every other week or so with our COVID numbers and how we're doing on this campus. We're still doing well, although as Dr. Ramprasad said yesterday, in the state of Alabama, we've seen an increase. Well, we've seen a little bit of an increase here on this campus as well. And so right now, what our numbers are, I'll give you this, for students, we have 26 active cases. Five of those are graduate students. 12 are quarantining on campus. And a good number of those are at the end of their quarantine, will be rolling off here soon. And we have 2 staff active cases, or employees. Let me put this in context for you, because I think it's very important to understand how these numbers work again. And the analogy I'm going to use is kind of I'll say the green, yellow, and red flag type of situation. Green is, hey, low numbers, we're doing well, keep doing what you're doing. Yellow is, hey, caution. We got to think about some things and make sure we're all practicing what we need to. And then, of course, red would be the high alert. We're not red at all, so I thank God for that. But I would say we're yellow right now. For most of the semester, we've been green. In early September, we had at one point, early mid-September, we had about 23 positive cases. Those all cleared up, no serious issues. The weeks after that, we had anywhere between 0 and 3, so it was green flag all the way. Last week, and the first part of this week, we're at yellow. So we're back at that caution. Let's be careful. Let's think about what we're doing. Let's make sure we're doing health checks. We're washing our hands. We're wearing our mask, other things. Okay, so that's just going to be important for us to consider. So nothing to panic about, but at the same time, we want to finish strong. We don't want to do anything that will jeopardize the rest of this semester or us moving into the spring semester here on campus. And so we're going to start adjusting some things. There'll be some activities you've probably already heard of that we just want to be careful with. So I've asked Dean Kane to give us some information there and some instructions. So list it up, please. Thank you.
Okay, as you probably heard if you listen to SGA Live, which I want to give a plug for that. Every Monday, Logan and Jenna are doing announcements and some fun stuff. They're also giving away Eagle Bucks during that live program, so please watch that. But we have decided that we're going to reschedule Midnight Madness. We love that event, but after talking to several students and our coaches, we just feel like we need to protect our players. They're going to be playing, and we just don't want to be irresponsible. So we're going to be rescheduling that likely in the spring. We also talked about some of the events that we have had that have been very successful have been outside. And with outside events, we have the ability to feel a little more free, even though we're masking up. So we will be doing some events towards the end of the semester here, but Midnight Madness will be rescheduled. I also just wanted to remind you all, kind of as Dr. Thompson said, our office is sort of navigating all the COVID cases, and one of the things we've noticed is this last bunch of cases really happened in groups. They were students who were either traveling together or spending a lot of time together. And I just want to remind you that even though you're with your friends and you think you know them, and you do know them, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying please understand the importance of social distancing and the health protocol of washing your hands, not touching your face, and wearing your mask, especially if you're traveling with people. It's just really important that we continue to watch all this. And believe me, we are tired of this, but we need to keep going so that we can keep each other safe. I'm trying to think. One of the other things I wanted to mention is if you're concerned or worried or want to know the numbers, all you have to do is call our office. We update those every day. I will tell you that athletes are treated differently than students, non-athletes. With our NAIA rules, our athletes, if they're exposed, even if they get a negative test, they're required to quarantine for 14 days. So we do have students who are quarantining who have negative tests, but that's because they're athletes and they're just have another level of protection there. So again, if you have questions, if there's things you want to know, please don't listen to the rumor mill. Just call the Student Life office and we'd be glad to update you.
All right. Here's a scripture I want to start us with today. Romans chapter 12, verses 10 and 11 says, "Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord." Let's stand together. Let's sing a couple songs before we have our speaker today. I'm in the way, the bright and shining way. You know that I'm in the glory land way. Telling the world that Jesus saves today. Yes, I'm in the glory land way. Yeah, you know that I'm in the glory land way. Yeah, I'm in the glory land way. You know that heaven is nearer and the way road clearer, for I'm in the glory land way. Onward I go, rejoicing in His love. I'm in the glory land way, and very soon I shall see Him in that home above. Oh, I'm in the glory land way. Yeah, you know that I'm in the glory land way. Yeah, I'm in the glory land way. You know that heaven is nearer and the way groweth clearer, for I'm in the glory land way. One more time, I'm in the glory land way. Yeah, I'm in the glory land way. Yeah, you know that heaven is nearer and the way groweth clearer, for I'm in the glory land way. Hear the holy roar of God resound. Watch the waters part before us now. And come and see what He has done for us. Tell the world of His great love. Our God is a God who saves. Our God is a God who saves. Let God arise. Let God arise. Our God reigns now and forever. He reigns now and forever. Arise. Let God arise. Our God reigns now and forever. He reigns now and forever. For His enemies will run for shore. And the church will stand, she will endure. He holds the keys of life, our Lord. Death has no sting, no final word. Our God is a God who saves. Our God is a God who saves. Let God arise. Let God arise. Our God reigns now and forever. He reigns now and forever. Arise. Let God arise. Our God reigns now and forever. He reigns now and forever. Our God is a God who saves. Our God is a God who saves. Sing it out. Our God is a God who saves. One more time. Our God is a God who saves. Let God praise. Amen. Faulkner, you can be seated.
Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you all here today. In my capacity as the director of the Center for Great Books and Human Flourishing here on campus, I'm in contact with a lot of different organizations all around the country. And I came across an initiative by an organization called Braver Angels that I want to talk to you about today. And this is not really a devotional that I'm going to present to you, but it is a message that I think is very much in line with the Christian values that we have here at Faulkner, and so I hope that you will give it your careful attention. And at the end of my presentation, I'm going to ask you to say something along with me if you're willing to take a pledge that relates to some big events that are happening in our country. As you may know, we have an election coming up next week. And this initiative with Malice Toward None is about not so much that election, but what is going to happen after that election. And this initiative, as I said, is called With Malice Toward None. You may recognize that phrase. It's a phrase from the second inaugural address that was made by Abraham Lincoln in 1865 when he was inaugurated as President of the United States for the second time. And of course, at that time, the country was in the middle of a civil war. And Lincoln said, this war is kind of drawing to a close now, and we want to make sure that at the end of this process, we are united as Americans, and we want to put things in place that will be uniting and not dividing. And that's one of the phrases he used, with malice toward none, with charity towards all. Well, what does that have to do with today? As I said, next Tuesday, we're going to have an election in this country, and tempers are running very high. You may have noticed that. Last night, we had the confirmation of a Supreme Court justice that was done completely along partisan lines in the U.S. Senate. All the Republicans voted to confirm this justice. None of the Democrats voted to confirm her. On social media, there was all this explosion of jubilation on one side and horror on the other side. This justice is going to save America. This justice is going to destroy America, depending on who you listen to, who you're talking to, who your circle of friends is. And that kind of rhetoric is all over the place today, and there are a lot of reasons why that is that I don't have time to go into this morning, but it has to do with the role that the government plays in our lives these days in a way that it didn't in the past. It has to do with the way that we interact with each other, the way we get our news, how we're communicating, how we're kind of sealing ourselves off in bubbles from each other. And so there's a lot of big problems in our society that we're not going to solve overnight, obviously. But the question is, what's going to happen next week after the votes are in? And one of these two candidates, in all likelihood, I know there's more than two names on the ballot, but one of these two, Joe Biden or Donald Trump, is likely to win that election next week. So what happens afterwards? Everybody's been thinking about who will win, who am I going to vote for, but I want to ask you what's going to happen the day after the election and the week after and the month after. How are we going to treat each other? For our international students who are not part of this process, this conversation may not apply to you directly. Maybe you've been looking around the last couple of months saying, what is wrong with these Americans? Why are they acting this way? This is crazy. We don't do things like this in my country. I don't know. But for those of you who are participating in this process, many of you are going to be voting for the first time next week. We have a record number of people who have already voted, who have cast early ballots for this election. NPR has reported that more than 60 million people have already voted in this election. So there's a lot of very high tempers running. So what's going to happen on November 4th and in the days and the weeks after? Braver Angels is an organization that is very concerned about this tendency that we have of being hyper-polarized in our country with two sides who don't want to talk to each other, who don't want to work with each other, who in some cases are even unwilling to recognize the humanity of people on the other side. and they demonize each other. And Braver Angels is an organization that says we want to work against that. We want to depolarize America. And this organization is committed to getting people to try to understand the views of the people who are on the other side of the political aisle. Even if you don't agree with these people, it's a good idea for you to understand why they think the way that they do. Understand what their concerns are. Understand what their hopes are for the country. And don't just call them names and attribute all kinds of bad motives to them. They also say it's good for us to try to engage with people on the other side, not just to understand where they're coming from, but also, wherever it's possible, to try to work with them, try to identify things that we have in common with each other and see where we can work together to create progress. So the goal is to unite us as Americans and to stop dividing us. We've got books being published now by professors. I know a professor who teaches at a law school in Virginia. At the beginning of this year, he published a book called American Secession. This was not a book about the United States in 1860. This is not a book about what happened to lead to the Civil War. This is a book about right now, today, and secession movements that are popping up all over this country, and large percentages of Americans saying, you know, America's done. We just need to split up. We need to call it quits. You know, California can go off and do its own thing, and Florida can do its own thing, and maybe we'll just split up into about 10 different countries, and then we can all go our separate ways. Well, some of you may think that's a great idea. I think there are a lot of us who think that probably wouldn't work out too well if we tried it. But if we won't talk to each other and we won't try to work to each other, that may be where we end up going. So, here's the opportunity. Next week, when the winners, the people on the winning side of the election, are all cheering and celebrating, and the losers are acting like the world is about to end, and the hateful rhetoric and all that hypes up even more than it is now, what are you going to do? Are you going to stand there and watch the train wreck? Are you going to laugh at the people on both sides? Are you going to be part of the train wreck? Are you going to participate in that? If you're on the winning side, are you going to call names and try to kick people when they're down? If you're on the losing side, are you going to go crazy and say the people on the other side from you are a bunch of haters and it's time to hunker down? And you know, there's a lot of potential for bad stuff to happen. So are you going to be a part of that? How will you treat the people on the other side, whether you're on the winning side or the losing side? How will you engage with people whose views are different from yours? And will you help this country heal? As Christians, you know, the Apostle Paul tells us, as far as it is possible with you, live in peace with everybody. And that's what organizations like Braver Angels are trying to encourage people to do. So when they rolled out this initiative with Malice Towards None, and they had this pledge that they're inviting people to take, and I brought this to the attention of Dr. Thompson and Dr. Williams, and they said, this is great, we need to show this to the Faulkner student body. So I'm going to show you this pledge right now. I'm going to read it to you once, and then I'm going to ask you, if you're willing, that you'll say this pledge along with me, that you will take this pledge and commit yourself to being one of the healers of America rather than one of the people who's going to try to tear it apart after the election next week. Here's the pledge. Regardless of how the election turns out, I will not hold hate, disdain, or ridicule for those who voted differently from me. Whether I am pleased or upset about the outcome, I will seek to understand the concerns and aspirations of those who voted differently and will look for opportunities to work with people with whom I disagree. If you're willing to be one of the healers rather than one of the destroyers, I'm going to invite you to say that pledge along with me right now. Here we go. Regardless of how the election turns out, I will not hold hate, disdain, or ridicule for those who voted differently from me. Whether I am pleased or upset about the outcome, I will seek to understand the concerns and aspirations of those who voted differently and will look for opportunities to work with people with whom I disagree. There's a lot of good that we can do in this community and in this state and in this country if we will work to be people who unite, if we will work to be good citizens and show the light of Christ, the love of Jesus to everyone in whom we come in contact with. There's no limit to what the Faulkner community can do. And I want to encourage you, as we move forward in this political process that is consuming our country right now, that we work to be the people that are going to bring about that progress and bring about that healing. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you all have a great day. You're dismissed.